Hi everyone, I'm here at ʻIPIF again. Today we're speaking with Blaine, and he's here to tell us a little bit about the rod resistance project going on here. Aloha Blaine. If you want to start with telling us a little bit about yourself, that'd be awesome.
Hi, good morning everyone. My name is Blaine Lewis, as Zach said. I'm the Rod Resistance Program Coordinator here, and I'm originally from the Kona side of the Big Island. Grew up going to the beach, grew up going to the mountains, so I have a deep appreciation for the natural spaces of our place, of this, our home. Um, like I said, I'm originally from Kona, but I also have family here on the Hilo side, so I feel at home on either side, to be honest. Um, and yeah, my journey to get to the point where I am now is I started at UH Hilo in biology, got my degree doing that, focusing on ecology, evolution, and conservation biology. I really wanted to work originally uh, as a pharmacist, but decided to change course and really focus on our natural spaces and what we can do to malama those places. Because if it's not us, who else will look after those places? So got my bachelor's degree there. And during that process, I was able to be involved with the PIPES program, which is an awesome program. Shout out to PIPES. Um, I was able to internship under Flint Hughes, JB Friday, and Lisa Keith, where I started working on ʻŌhiʻa rust, which is a disease of the leaves on ʻŌhiʻa. But we're also working on the beginnings of what we now know as rapid ʻŌhiʻa death, or ROD. Um, and through that whole process, I was able to learn plant pathology, which is not originally what I went to school for, develop those skills, and was able to find a job and continue working in ROD. Um, and that's how I ended up here.
Awesome. So what originally got you interested in conservation, in the field of conservation?
Yeah, so like I said, in my time as a kid in Kona, we were able to go to the beach and to the mountains. My dad would take us all the time and really learn about those places and how to not only visit and appreciate, but also how to blend in and be a part of that ecosystem, because us as humans, we're also, living creatures that are a part of those places. And so that sort of connection to both the ocean and the mountains is what drives me to be in this work and to be passionate about what I do, especially in the case with like Rod, for instance, working on bettering a species to be more resistant to a disease.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Could you tell us a little bit about how our ʻŌhiʻa communities and people communities are connected and interdependent, and how caring for ʻŌhiʻa is sort of like caring for a family member?
Sure. So uh, there are three ways that I can think of where that we as humans benefit from ʻŌhiʻa. So one of those ways is to the ecological benefits. ʻŌhiʻa, as many of you may know, is a very important forest tree in Hawaii for our forests. Um, it comprises a lot of our native forest canopy, providing habitat for countless insects and birds and snails and a bunch of other life um, that would otherwise be gone if it didn't have that sort of habitat or food source. For instance, the nectar on the lehua here on this ʻŌhiʻa tree provides food for birds and bees and other insects. Um, Another important thing to think about, and my second point, is the cultural aspect of it. Um, ʻŌhiʻa plays a big role in a lot of the mo'olelo or the olelo no eao that are important to the culture here in Hawaii. Um, it was important for making tools and a lot of other structures and implements, and without this tree, that part of the culture here, something so ingrained in our way of life, would be gone. Um, and the third point is um, sort of economical, so to speak, for lack of a better word, in that ʻŌhiʻa are a really big part of our watershed. They protect the soil from erosion, and that whole system allows water up in the mountains to percolate down into the ground and recharge our aquifers. And these freshwater aquifers are what we use. We pump the water out, and we use that for our fresh water that you get out of your sink. Um, well, most of us do. Some of us are on catchment, and that's a different story. But ʻŌhiʻa nonetheless plays a very big part of that. And to a lesser extent too, ʻŌhiʻa is used for firewood, structural posts on homes, and other types of crafts like that. So there are many ways that ʻŌhiʻa plays an important role in our lives and the lives of other living creatures in the state. But it's not just us depending on ʻŌhiʻa in this case. We need to take care of ʻŌhiʻa as well and show this reciprocity in the process. ʻŌhiʻa, as many of you know, suffers from rapid ʻŌhiʻa death, which is a phenomenon that has been killing a lot of ʻŌhiʻa throughout the state. And we need to do our part to take care of ʻŌhiʻa as our family member. When somebody in your family is sick, you do all you can to provide for them, to make them feel better. And that's what we need to do here. We need to take care of ʻŌhiʻa because we also depend on ʻŌhiʻa, and ʻŌhiʻa depends on us. And that's where we like to use the phrase "Iolo iolo mako nei."
Could you explain to us a little bit about what rot is and why people are very concerned about this disease and the health of our forest, as well as how science is being used to help find more ways to malama ʻŌhiʻa, like with the rod resistance work that you're doing?
Sure. Yeah. So, rod, as many of you know, is a phenomenon that's affecting our ʻŌhiʻa, particularly on the Big Island, but it has been found on other islands throughout the state. It's actually not in itself a disease. It's actually more of, I guess I should say, a common name for this occurrence of rapid wilting and death. So rot is actually caused by two different fungi that are part of the same genus, so they're both Ceratocystis. They're very closely related, but they cause two different diseases. One of them being Ceratocystis leuco-ʻŌhiʻa, that causes Ceratocystis wilt of ʻŌhiʻa, and Ceratocystis huli-ʻŌhiʻa, which causes Ceratocystis canker of ʻŌhiʻa. And just by the way I said, wilt and canker, that kind of describes how they move through the trees and cause the disease. For Ceratocystis leuco-ʻŌhiʻa, it's the more aggressive pathogen of the two, and so what happens is there's more wide spreading of the fungus via spores and other fungal material, possibly through the xylem architecture of the plant. And so the xylem is the little vessels in the tree that bring water from the roots to the leaves. And so Ceratocystis leuco-ʻŌhiʻa will travel through those xylem vessels quickly, and that rapid expansion allows it to really clog up those xylem vessels, basically clogging the pipes. That leads to rapid wilting of the tree and death, which is why we see that rapid browning that some of you may have seen on your ʻŌhiʻa at home. For Ceratocystis huli-ʻŌhiʻa, Ceratocystis canker over here, it's similar but not exactly the same. So the canker in the name Ceratocystis canker over here comes from huli-ʻŌhiʻa not really being able to travel through the tree as well as leuco-ʻŌhiʻa does. It tends to form more discrete lesions, which you could see by scraping away bark, and we believe that it possibly takes multiple infections of Ceratocystis huli-ʻŌhiʻa to girdle the tree, and then by doing that clogs the pipes like leuco-ʻhiʻa, stops water from going up to the leaves, causing the same symptoms. And that's why they're both known as rod, because the end symptoms are the same, right? The rapid wilting of the tree leading to death. And so that's rod in a nutshell. What we're doing to combat rod is through various means in the scientific realm of research. So, there are groups working on vectors, so things that move rod propagules to other trees, such as studying different kinds of beetles and how they impact ʻŌhiʻa and spread rod between trees, possibly pigs and other feral ungulates causing damage to ʻŌhiʻa, maybe causing direct spread. That's still being researched. Other things like wood treatments or other management techniques for preventing the spread of rod, so that we can all do a better job of keeping our ʻŌhiʻa safe. And even things like, more academic, like where did rod come from? Where did these pathogens come from? We suspect that they're two completely different pathogens from two completely different places in the world. We don't know how they got here still, and that's still being researched. And maybe one of you in the future will be the one to figure that out. And yeah, some of the ways that we here at ʻŌhiʻa Foundation, Tropical Forest, are doing our part in research is through the Rapid ʻŌhiʻa Death Resistance Program. So we do have some evidence that shows that there's natural resistance in ʻŌhiʻa to rod. Part of the challenge in that is finding those ʻŌhiʻa and taking care of them and nurturing them so that they provide the next round of seeds that might be the next forest here in Hawaii. ʻŌhiʻa is all over the place, especially on Big Island, and looking for resistance is like looking for a needle in a haystack. So here at the ʻŌhiʻa Foundation, we're doing our part by collecting ʻŌhiʻa seeds and cutting, vegetation like this to bring back to our facility and grow for the purpose of screening with the two diseases. So it's going to be a long process. It takes a lot of work and screening a lot of ʻŌhiʻa to find the right ones that will do the job and be resistant. But ultimately, we know that this is a fruitful endeavor and will be good for the people of Hawaii.
Awesome. Could you share with us a little bit about your personal connections with ʻŌhiʻa?
Sure. So growing up here in Hawaii on this island, I was able and fortunate enough to be a part of, the ocean and the mountain ecosystems. Particularly in the mountains, we have beautiful old ʻŌhiʻa that are the foundation for our forests. And growing up walking through those forests and being in the trees really instilled within me, I think, a passion to do what I can to take care. As one of the teachings that my dad taught me as a kid to when you go in, you leave the place as you found it, or better. And that's what really drives me, I think, to be passionate about what I do and to really work hard to ensure that we have ʻŌhiʻa forests for the future generations. With how devastating rod can be in some places and some ʻŌhiʻa forests, there's an urgent need to really work towards finding resistance in rod. And I know that we'll be doing a good job and we'll do right for everybody, particularly for the next generation of people in Hawaii. The kids, the keiki now, that is also a really big driving force of what I do, because I have a daughter as well, a young daughter. She just turned 10 months today. And I know I want to be able to do the same thing that my dad did to me. I want to take her into the forest and see ʻŌhiʻa and know ʻŌhiʻa and have ʻŌhiʻa as a part of her family. And I think that's really important for all the kids of Hawaii to be able to do that, and to do that for their kids as well in perpetuity.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Blaine. Is there a final message you want to leave with the kids, kind of focusing on Malama ʻŌhiʻa?
Yeah, sure. So out of anything, prevention is the most important thing we can do as individuals living here in Hawaii. And there are 5 things, that's 10. There's 5 things you can do to really do your part and do your best at preventing the spread of rod. So the first thing is don't move ʻŌhiʻa wood or plant parts. If you say want to plant ʻŌhiʻa somewhere else, the safest thing you can do is bring the seeds to the place you want to grow them, because seeds, we don't have any evidence of rod being transmitted through seeds. So particularly seeds are a really safe way of moving ʻŌhiʻa if you want to grow it somewhere else. 2 is don't move ʻŌhiʻa inter-island. This is a big one because for the most part, rod and the more aggressive pathogen of rod, Ceratocystis leucoʻhiʻa, is only found on Hawaii Island and Kauai. And we need to do our part to stop that from traveling to other islands that don't have it. So that's a very big rule to follow. Rule number 3, or way number 3, that you can prevent the spread of rod, is to avoid wounding ʻŌhiʻa as much as possible. The pathogens get into ʻŌhiʻa trees through wounds, and it could be anything, you know. Your dad's driving a tractor, or you're going through your yard and pruning ʻŌhiʻa. Any kind of wounding like that could open up a path for the pathogens to enter and infect your tree and cause it to die. So any way you can avoid that. I know sometimes you just got to prune your tree. If you do, we recommend using a wound sealant to really cover that up and stop any propagules from entering. As soon as you notice the wound is the best time to do it. And that's a really important one for sure. Way number 4 is to clean your gear before and after going into the forest with 70% rubbing alcohol. So that can be your backpacks, any tools you bring, your boots, especially if you go into the forest, make sure you spray that with ethanol or with 70% rubbing alcohol, especially after you scrub all the mud and stuff off. That's the best you can do. For clothes, you can just put them in the washing machine and make sure they're clean. And you've got a clean set before going in to the woods. And the last thing we can do is, if you've gone off-roading in your truck, to make sure that you spray it with a high-pressure hose or pressure washer, especially the undercarriage, the area under the truck, and around the wheels, to get out as much of the mud and dirt as you can, because there's evidence of ceratocystis spores in the dirt. So getting all that off and making sure your car is clean and fresh after coming out of the woods is a smart choice. And